I want to preface this video by saying I'm not 100% sure how legit any of this stuff is. It might be total BS, but I figured if there's news, you guys deserve to know. You guys might be able to call me some Class A type reporter up in here. We're here giving you all the latest news when it comes to gaming. But today is revolving around the WB Games Montreal wanting to license franchises, which include Batman to Harry Potter and more to other studios. So if you're watching one of these videos, and you might not be a fan of Batman Arkham. You might just be a fan of gaming in general. You might like WB Games Montreal. This could really go to everybody who's a big fan of these big name, games and TV shows and whatnot. So we're going to read this article and we're going to give our thoughts on it. So without wasting too much of your time, let's get right into the article. So it starts off by saying Batman, the Justice League, Harry Potter, Looney Tunes, Game of Thrones, the list of intellectual property owned by Warner Bros. Discovery is massive, and an awful lot of it seems ripe for being turned into a video game. And that's actually crazy. When you sit here and think about like Batman, the Justice League, Harry Potter especially, because that's like the biggest thing. A lot of people don't know about the Justice League. A lot of people know about Batman, but don't know about Batman. Harry Potter is something massive. Looney Tunes, Game of Thrones, one of the biggest TV shows. Even though I'm going to break this to you, I've never watched Game of Thrones. I know, I'm crazy. But, a lot of people really love that show. So to turn stuff like this into games is, honestly, it's quite phenomenal. But we keep reading here. If you're thinking WB's been a little slow to leverage that library, it sounds like the company's leadership agrees and is looking not just to make more of its own games, but to license out some of its biggest franchises to other game studios in the future. Now, this might tie into something later. I'm not 100% sure. But I read another article about this earlier, and it basically was stating that 2023 was one of the biggest years for Warner Bros. In terms of profits after releasing Hogwarts Legacy, where this year has been one of their biggest, failures, I guess you could say, in terms of profits because of, the Suicide Squad game absolutely tanking in sales. So it looks like that they're looking to branch out, maybe, sell these properties to other developers in hopes to, make those profits come back up in order to make more money. But now, before I continue reading, what this tells me is that they're on their last legs. For them to be willing to sell their intellectual property to other game developers, or at least lend it out, or loan it, or something, so other developers can make games on these types of characters and TV shows and whatnot, tells me that they are really desperate to make some money. It really tells me that they might even be on the verge of closing their doors down. That's how serious we're talking here. But I'm going to stop yapping. We're going to continue reading this. Today on the Warner Bros. Discovery Q2 earnings, call CEO David. I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm really bad with names. David Zaslav. Okay, I actually did pretty well. And president of Global Streaming and Games, JB Perrett. I'm gonna call him Perrett. Responded to a question about the strategic value of games to Warner Brothers. Given recent uneven performance, the company had reported gaming revenue down 41% year over year due to underperformance of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So that's basically what I was just touching on a minute ago. They've lost so much money because Suicide Squad tanked. And that leads into something else I'm going to talk about later. Compared to Hogwarts Legacy's massive success last year, because people love Harry Potter, right? Does WB Games as a core part of its portfolio? So there's a couple things here that ties into the reason why they're tanking, right? Number one, Suicide Squad, I don't think is a very popular brand name. It's popular, people know about it. Not a lot of people know, though. Not a lot of people, I don't think, saw the movies. They don't know about it as much as Hogwarts Legacy and the Harry Potter stuff. People don't know about this as much as Batman. They don't know about it as much as, Game of Thrones. These titles are much more popular than Suicide Squad, and I think that's part of the reason why the sales tanked. But something else as well. I never played Hogwarts Legacy. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I know nothing about that. But if I was to guess, the gameplay was probably pretty decent in Hogwarts Legacy. I'm not a fan of Harry Potter, and maybe you don't have to be in order to enjoy the gameplay experience in itself. But I'm sure you do in order to notice certain things within the story. But that's neither here nor there. But the other thing as well is I think the in-game quality itself, and I'm not talking about graphics, I'm not even talking about the combat of Suicide Squad. That's not my issue with the game. It's the overall campaign itself, and it's just not very entertaining. The campaign itself was very forgettable, and I would not want to replay it again, and I don't plan on replaying it again anytime soon. Seems like the answer is yes. Both Zaslav and Perret explained that they wanted to grow the gaming business, especially in the free-to-play space, which I'm assuming they're referring to Battle Royale style games, which Perret says can help balance out some of the ups and downs of the cycle console industry. That's part of why WB acquired Player First Games, developer of Multiverses, earlier this year. I didn't actually mind Multiverses, personally. Zaslav followed up by noting that not only did WB want to keep leveraging its 11 studios, but that there's a lot of interest among others in coming to take advantage of some of the IP for gaming, which we're looking at. Here are both the answers below. So Perret states we look at the evolution of the storytelling and interactive entertainment as a space and say it's one of the unique areas in media that is growing. That is very true. Like, I would definitely say storytelling's become a lot more complex because you need to have a really good world build, really good graphics, really good gameplay. You know, you need to have interesting characters that have good character development. So it's become much harder to keep people engaged nowadays because of how complex it's become. Both growing in terms of time spent, growing in terms of engagement, and growing in terms of revenue. And so we still see this as a huge opportunity for us. We know that our franchises, particularly in a world where the gaming industry launching brand new franchises is getting harder and harder for a number of reasons, including IFDA. I'm really bad with certain words, so you're going to have to give me a bit of a break here. Depreciation. Deprecation. What am I saying? And more challenges with marketing and customer acquisition, and that franchises like the ones we have are in high demand and can help in launching games. So I wonder if that means that if they, allow other developers to work on these games, do WB still want a say in how the game goes? Do they still want some control? Or are they looking to just sell the name as a whole? Because here's the issue that I'm concerned about, is that, WB Games and Rocksteady developed the Batman Arkham games and did it spectacularly, but I'm worried that if it goes out to a different developer, that they've never worked on a game like Batman Arkham or anything similar to that before, so they might not understand about the storytelling, they might not understand about the gameplay or the side missions or anything that goes into this kind of stuff. So I'm worried that they're going to take something like that, but they're going to it's going to be a bit all over the place, and I'm not going to say the developers will do a bad job, but I'm concerned that they might not be able to do as good of a job because they've never really written games like this, whereas WB and Rocksteady have experience in developing these types of games. You still need a great game, and the reality is we've had the unfortunate in a short period of 12 months. We went from having the record 2023 with Hogwarts Legacy to having the opposite side of the spectrum with Suicide Squad, and it is still hit-driven nature of some of that business. But one of the areas that we are particularly leaning into, which is about half of $200 billion game business, is the free-to-play space. That's kind of interesting. You're telling me half of this business is free-to-play space? I mean, that's because people are willing to put money into a game they don't spend any money on. But I'm not gonna read like all this word for word, but I will finish off this bit here because this seems to be a bit irrelevant for what I'm looking to get into. Warner Bros. Discovery reported revenue of $9.7 billion for the quarter, but an overall net loss of $10 billion, $9.1 billion of which was due to impairment charges. Okay, so that just seems like something that's their own fault then. It's not even like it's due to bad games. The company also reported subscription services were up 3.6 million subscribers from the last quarter, bringing its total to 103 million. So I just think that WB's a little bit desperate to bring their profits back up, and I think that's what it is. They're looking to either sell the property as a whole or looking to loan it out or whatever it is. They're looking to make that money, looking to make, a comeback in the Batman games, Hogwarts Legacy, whatever it is. They're looking to start making some actual money again because obviously their sales are down. Obviously, they're not as good of a development team as they used to be. But even if they were to launch it out or sell it out to a AAA studio, what AAA studio would it even go to? Because if I'm going to be honest, I don't know if there's any studio that I could think of that would do as good of a job with the Batman characters or Suicide Squad or anything that we like to play. I don't know if any other studio would be able to do as good of a job as Rocksteady and WB. And I imagine that Rocksteady probably want to move on to other things, so I don't see them making another Batman game. WB isn't looking to do so. And I think right now their name's kind of in the gutter. They need to develop something really good to bring their stock back up and to make people realize they're still a good developing company. But if this happens, if another company decides to make a new Batman game, decides to make a new, Suicide Squad game, Game of Thrones game, whatever it is, what company do you guys think should be the ones to do it? I'm concerned with any company that does it. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm going to be concerned just because I don't think they'll be able to do as good of a job with the storytelling as companies like Warner Bros., like Rocksteady, who have already done this. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!